Hello guys, welcome to my channel Sky Hub. So today at day 5, we will build our logout route using Redis. Next, we will set up our user middleware, and at the end we will explore the RedisInsight. So go to our VS Code and let's start coding. So till now, we will build our sign up route, login route, and next today we will discuss about our logout route. So let's create our logout route first. Go to user route, user router dot post / logout. Logout. Have to require our logout function from controllers / user controller. And we must have to export it from user controller. So let's create our logout function. So first, let's implement try and catch block for error handling. So for our logout route, we use Redis for token invalidation. As we know that there are no any other method to expire the token before its expiry time. So the other person easily access others account by using their token. Let us assume that some other person takes their token and wants to access their account resources. So without Redis, the other person easily access their account by using their token. So now if we use Redis, then as soon as the user log out, then we store their token in Redis database until it will not expire. As soon as it will expire, then we will remove it from our Redis database. So using Redis, if other person come with some others account token to access their account, so first we check this token in the Redis database, and if it is present, then we simply reject their request. So without blacklisting, after logout, the token remains valid until its expired time. So if a malicious party has a copy, then they can steal their access resources. But with blacklisting, by adding the token to Redis, the server can check their blacklist on every subsequent protected route. If the token is found in Redis, then the server rejects the request immediately. regardless of the token's remaining validity time. This ensures the logout is effective. So for this, we have to set up our Redis cloud. So open your Google Chrome and search redis.io. This is our redis.io website. So let's click on try Redis for free. Then you must have to sign up first. So after sign up, this page will be open where you can log in to Redis cloud. So enter your credentials and logged in into the Redis cloud. So after sign up, choose personal project, then choose free, then your database name, let's say Redis Leetcode, then its database version which is 8.2, then cloud vendor Amazon Web Services, then for region we choose ACI specific, let's say Mumbai, and then create database. I already have created it. Let's go to our database. So here Redis Leetcode is created. Now open it. So for connecting our server to the Redis, we have several options like Redis CLI, through Redis CLI, client, and through Insight. Click on connect. Then for GUI purpose, we can install RedisInsight. So download it. Then open your exe file. Then choose only for me. Then install and finish. And after that, accepting all the terms and conditions, then again launch your RedisInsight desktop. After you launching, your database is connected. Here is our database. The first is free Redis Cloud DB by default created, and second is our Redis Leetcode. Then open our Redis Leetcode. So to check it is working or not, go to our workbench. Then here send some command like ping, then run, and in response it sent PONG. Let's say we have set name skyhub, run, it sends OK status. Then we want to get name, then run, it returns skyhub. So our Redis is perfectly working. So now again go to your Google Chrome in your Redis Leetcode database. So for this project, we use Redis client as Node.js. So here is our Redis client. First click on connect, then Redis client. Then here we will select Node.js client. So this is our connection string. So to check your password, first click on the I button, then the password is showing. So first copy this const client function where the username is mentioned, password is mentioned, host, port, everything is mentioned. Now copy it and then open your VS Code. So inside our config folder, we will create the redis.js folder for Redis connection. So after creating redis.js, we have to install Redis. So first go to our backend folder, change directory backend. Then npm I redis. So go to your Google Chrome and search npm redis. Here is our Redis package. To install, we use npm I redis. Node Redis is a modern high performance Redis client for Node.js. We can also use Redis via Docker. Here are some pre-built packages of Redis which included inside Redis. So to use Redis, first we have to require it, then make connection. Here are some Redis commands. Like set, .set, .get, for disconnecting we use client.destroy. Here are some events like .connect. It is used to initialize a connection to the server. .ready, client is ready to use. .end, connection has been closed via .disconnected function. Error, an error has occurred, usually a network error such as socket closed unexpectedly. Reconnecting, now open our VS Code. Redis is successfully installed. So first we have to require it. Const create client is equal to require Redis. So copy this command and paste it inside our VS Code. So let's rename it as Redis client. So const Redis client is equal to create client, username default, password is this, socket, host is this, and port is this. At the end, we have to export it. Module.export is equal to Redis client. So first of all, we have to secure our password. So we put our password inside .env folder. Let's rename it Redis password. Also, we have to send our host in .env file. So Redis host. So port, we also send it inside our .env file. Let's rename it Redis port. Inside Redis, we use process.env dot Redis password. Then in host, type process.env Redis host. And in port, it is Redis port. So that's all for our redis.js file. So here, first we imports the necessary create client function from the Redis npm package. This function is used to establish a connection to a Redis server. Then next, const Redis client is equal to create client. It calls the create client function and passes a configuration object to establish the connection. The resulting client object is stored in the Redis client variable. So the resulting client object is stored in this Redis client variable and we will export it. So for authentication, we set the username for the Redis connection to default. So this username is listed in our Redis access control list. Is ACL. Now for authentication, we set our Redis password. So this password is used for Redis connection by reading it from an environment variable. So this is a sensitive credential out of our source code. Now next we configure our socket. It basically starts an object to configure the network socket details for the connection. Then inside host, we set the IP addresses or host name of the Redis server, which is retrieved from the Redis host environment variable. Now in port, we set the port number on which the Redis server is listening, which is 177.26. Now here our socket configuration object is int, and here our create client function is terminated, and at the end we export these all things. So by using this Redis client, we can perform asynchronous Redis operations like Redis client.set for blacklisting tokens or storing temporary data. Next is Redis client.get for retrieving cached information. And next is Redis client.exist for checking if a blacklisted token is present or not. So go to inside our index.js and establish connection with our Redis database. For this, first comment it. Then here we create a function const establish connection is equal to async here we use try catch block. So first we define a asynchronous function which is establish connection. So this async keyword is allow the use of await inside the function. Without using async, we cannot use await inside our function. Next, for error handling, we use try and catch block. Next, we want concurrent connection so that the two asynchronous connection function concurrently connected at the same time without waiting for the other. For this, we use await promise.all. First is our main function. So basically main is our DB connection. Here we export main to stabilize our DB connection. Then next is our Redis client connection. Redis client dot connect. After that, we print a message console.log both database connected successfully. After that, we stabilize our app.listen. So here we use promise.all to execute two asynchronous connection functions concurrently at the same time. First is our main function. So it assumed to be the function that connects to the main database, which is MongoDB. Second is our Redis database. So to connect to the Redis server using the client, we use await keyword so that the connection execution pauses until both promises resolve successfully. If either connection fails, the entire promise.all call is rejected and execution jumps to the catch block. After successful connection, if both connections succeed, the message is popped up. Both database connected successfully inside the console. Then after that, we start our server. The Express application app starts listening for incoming HTTP requests on the port number specified in the process.env.port requirement variable. Next, we print message in console server listening at port number this. So inside catch, we print now remove these all lines. So after that, we have to call our stabilize connection function. So to check, run command npm start. So here Redis client is not defined. So we have to define it, our Redis client. So we have to require it inside our index.js folder. So here NodeMon gives error that Redis client is not a function inside our config Redis folder. So here we require the Redis inside the create client, but we want the create client function which is stored inside the Redis. So for tackle this problem, we put curly braces so now the create client becomes a function. After that it gives an error, type error, Redis client dot connect is not a function. Basically it is a spelling mistake. So our server runs successfully, both the database connected successfully, server listening at port number 3000. That's it. So next we have to build our logout function. So for logout function, we first ensure that the token is present and structurally correct. Second, if it is present and correct, then we add the token to a server side list, which is inside our Redis block list, so it can't be used again. And then we terminate the session immediately. After that, we remove the token from the client's browser to prevent it from being sent in future requests. So we clear all the cookies from the browser. So for validate our token, let's create a middleware. So it is user middleware. So inside source, let's create a middleware folder. Then inside middleware, we create a user middleware file. So first of all, the question is why we check the token is invalid or not. Let us assume that a user uses a token which is already invalid and sends logout request from the Postman. So we must check that it is valid or not before storing it into our Redis database. So if we not check and sends the request through Postman, then our database becomes full. So it's a catch. So it must be catch till its expire time is not completed. So create const user middleware is equal to async request response next So here we use next because in our user route, after the user middleware completes its work, then we have to move to our logout feature or logout function. So we use next to command it that our user middleware is completed. Now it's time to go the next to the logout function. So inside user middleware, we create try and catch block for error handling. So we defines a asynchronous middleware function. It takes the standard express arguments like request, response and next to call the function. So we use next to pass control to the next middleware or route handler. Then we start a try block to catch error. So first we have to fetch the user token which sends the request for logout. So const token is equal to require.cookie, and we know that our token is present in our browser cookie, which is request.cookie. So basically we retrieves the JWT JSON web token by destructing the token property from the request cookie. Now if not cookie, if cookie is not present, or not successfully retrieved, then we throw a new error as token is not present. HTTP 401 unauthorized response. So here we ensures that the cookie is exists. Next, we check our token validity, like check its expiry time. So for this we will use jwt.verify and it returns our payload, which is ID and email ID. We can see it here. In our jwt.sign, we sends ID and email ID. Our secret key and expiry time. So for using jwt.verify, we must require it. So const jwt is equal to required JSON web token. So now for payload, let's type const payload is equal to jwt.verify. So jwt.verify checks two things. First, signature. So it ensures that the token has not been tampered with using the JWT secret key. And second, expire time. So it checks if the token has expired. So if either one checks fail, it throws an error immediately. The return value is the verified token payload. So we pass token and JWT secret key, which is process dot env dot JWT secret key. So inside our payload, the ID and email ID is present. So we fetch ID. Const ID is equal to payload. So we extract our user ID from the verified payload. If ID is not present, then it throws a new error which is invalid token. So basically first we check that if the required user identifier is present in the token's payload or not. If the ID is missing, we throw an error as invalid token. So we check that the email ID, the ID and its email ID are the correct or not. After that, by using this ID, we fetch the user's data into our result constant. To check that the user is still present in our database or someone deletes it. Const result is equal to await user dot find by ID So using user model, we must have to require our user model inside user middleware. So const user is equal to required model plus user model. So we import the user model, which is inside our Mongoose model, to query the main database for user data. So here we query the main database, which is MongoDB, and by using the extracted ID, and we fetch the corresponding user object. Here the await keyword pauses the execution until the database query is completed. So it basically ensures that the user associated with the token is still exists or not. For this, if not result, it throws an error user not found. So the user which is inside this ID is not exists in our primary database or MongoDB database. So next, if we find our user inside our primary database, then first we send it into our Redis block list. For this, we use const is blacklisted is equal to await redis client dot exist use backtick, name it token, and its value is this token. So we check the blacklisted token inside our Redis database. So here redis client dot exist function checks if a key matching the token is present inside the Redis or not. This key is created during the logout process. The await is required for the asynchronous Redis operation. Now, if the token is present inside the Redis blacklist, then we throw a new error as invalid token. So if the token is found in blacklist, it means the user has logged out, and here an error is thrown to reject the request. So after doing these all things, we attaches the retrieved user object, which is result, inside the request.result, so that The user data is easily accessible to the route handler that runs next, which is basically our logout function. So request dot result is equal to result, and after that we call next function. In catch block we send response dot status (401) dot send error. That's all. After doing these all things, we have to export user middleware. For this, use module.exports is equal to user middleware. So it exports the middleware so it can be used to protect specific express routes. So after that, go to user controller.js and let's build our logout function. So first, we checks that the token is valid or not using the user middleware. After that, we have to retrieve token from request.cookie. So it destructures the token property from the request.cookie object. It retrieves the JWT that was stored in an HTTP cookie by the client. After that, we have to decode the token. Uses a JWT library function which is jwt.decode. So it will use to extract non-sensitive information like the expire time. So jwt.decode token we stored it inside payload. So it decodes to get the token expire time. Now after getting the expiration time, we blacklist this token inside the Redis database. So for this, await Redis client dot set token and gives it a message blacklisted. So we use Redis client to store the exact token string as a key in Redis, prefixing it with the token. So its name is token. The value is set to blacklisted. The await is crucial as Redis operations are asynchronous. Now after that, we have to set Redis expire time. So for this, we use Redis client.expire at command to set the TTL, time to live, for the newly created key. Then this key will automatically expire from Redis. At the same time, the original JWT was meant to expire. So this is an efficient way to clean up the Redis memory automatically. So await Redis client dot expire at. First we send token. Then from payload, we extract its expire time. So after that, we will clear the cookie from the browser. So res.cookie its name is token. In payload, we send null, and in expire, we set new date dot now. So we sends a new cookie header to the client for the key token. It sets the value to null, and it sets the expired date to the current time, date.now. This instructs the client browser to immediately delete the cookie so that in future no one can access these tokens. After that, we will send logout successfully. So it sends a final HTTP response to the client confirming the successful logout. Now inside our catch block, we send response.status, which is 503 dot send So in error response, we send an HTTP 503 service unavailable status code indicating a server-side issue that's prevented the logout. So after that, we export our logout function. So let's check our code is working or not. npm start. So we have to require the user middleware in this user out folder. So const user middleware is equal to required dot slash middlewares slash user middleware. So now our both database connected successfully, server listening at port number 3000. Now open our Postman and MongoDB database. So here is our MongoDB database, which is empty. This is our Postman server. So here we create a new route, which is HTTP post request to localhost colon 3000 slash user slash logout. Now save it. So first we will sign in. The user is registered successfully. Let's go to MongoDB and check it. So here is user is registered successfully. Password is also hashed. You can also check that cookie is created. Here is the token. Next, user is logged in successfully. There is also a cookie is created. Inside logout, there is also a cookie. Let's send the request. Error, cookie is not defined. So let's go to our VS Code. Let's check why this error has occurred. So after catch console.log error. Then again we will send the post request. Now here is the error, reference error, cookie is not defined at this line. So if not cookie, so basically here this is if not token. Our both database connected successfully. Server is listening at port number 3000. Let's again send the post request. So now again error is occurred, token is not present. So open our VS Code. Let's check in which line the error is occurred. Is here. First console.log. Let's check what is inside our token. Again send the logout post request. Here our token is undefined. So in cookie spelling it is cookies, not cookie. So request.cookies. So our server is started. Now again sends the post request. So here JWT must be a string. Let's open our VS Code. So here we use jwt.verify. This is /node module. We don't have to check it. This is our middleware/middleware. So here is our problem. First console.log. Let's check what is inside our token. So again we send the post request. So inside our token, the token is in key value pair, but we need only value. So we need to destruct it. That's why it gives error JWT must be a string. For this we use curly braces. Then again we send the post request. It gives error cast to object ID field for value this. These are our node module files. So here is the problem. Find by ID and ID. So here again use console.log ID to check what exactly is inside our ID. Again send post request. So inside our ID, these are the values, but we want only ID. So we have to destructure it. Now again go to Postman and send post request. So this time it gives error, Redis client is not defined. And you can say that after deconstructing it, it only stores ID inside ID. So we use Redis client in this folder. Index.js we also use Redis client. So in user controller use Redis client but does not require it. We have to require it. Now let's again send the post request. So again it shows error, cannot read property of null reading exp. So we use exp inside our user controller, which is payload.exp. So here in payload there is use jwt.decode, which is also takes string. So we need to deconstruct it. And in cookie we have to write cookies instead of cookie. Now again our both the database are connected successfully and server is listening at port 3000. So again go to the Postman and sends the post request for logout. So at that time our user is logged out successfully, and in cookie the cookies are also cleared. So again go to login and the user login successfully. Cookie is also created. This is our token. Now go to logout. Key is stored. Our token. Now send the post request /user/logout. Logout successfully. We can also check the cookie is also cleared. So our logout functionality working perfectly. So our user logged out successfully, cookie is also cleared. So now check that is our token is really stored in our Redis database or not. For this, we go to our RedisInsight. In RedisInsight, this is our Redis database and this is our Redis Leetcode. Now here you just refresh the page. So after refreshing, all the tokens are present here. Here is the expiry time, which is TTL 94764. So this is our token, which is name, and its value is this. Let's make it 10 seconds. 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, and it's automatically deleted. Error. Key with this name does not exist. So let's check again. So first delete all. Now go to the Postman. First login, which generates cookies and token inside the cookie. This is our token. Now log out our user, and after successful logout, the token is stored in our Redis database. Now refresh it. So that's the token which is stored in our Redis database. Is now blacklisted. Its TTL is this. Let's make it 10. So after 10 seconds, it will automatically delete from our Redis database. So it will be automatically delete. So RedisInsight gives us the power for visualizing how the Redis database is stored it and how we can manage the Redis data inside the Redis database. So that's all for today. Thank you.